Okay, so I think we're live. Good afternoon, everyone. So welcome to this webinar. I'll be sharing my screen now. All right. So I hope you are seeing my screen now. Maybe you can send a thumbs up or um, maybe you can put something in the chat box so that I'm sure that I'm sharing my screen. Okay, perfect. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for confirming. So again, welcome everyone. Good afternoon. So this webinar is entitled Smarter Finance, Safer Systems, the AI Advantage in Fintech and Cybersecurity. So I'll be discussing the Fintech part. My partner right here, Alpha, will be discussing the cybersecurity part. Okay, Alpha, maybe you can say hi to our audience.
Yeah. Hey everyone. My name is Alpha Diallo. Nice to meet you all.
Nice. Thank you very much. So I hope you're as excited as me to discuss the AI advantage in financial technology and as well as in cybersecurity because AI is a very hot thing right now. The capital is flowing in, and we need to ride the wave of this AI boom. So let me first go through and introduce to you. See, it's not. Okay, there we go. All right. So let me first introduce to you CFE Cert. So it is a certification and a training company. It is an independent auditing company accredited by UKAS, IAS, and TURKAK that operates in numerous countries, including UK and Turkey as well. It is a member of the British Education Accreditation Authority, CPD certification service. It is also a member of the Association of British Certification Bodies, as well as Cybersecurity Council. So if you guys are interested into cybersecurity, whether it is training or anything related, Skillspire and also CFE Cert is partnered to offer training. And it is also a member of Corporate Risk Management Association. It offers a wide range of services, including GAP analysis, training, audit, and certification. These services cover various areas such as information security, AI management, compliance, business continuity, IT service management, quality management, DPR, and personal data management systems. So now that we are familiar with CFE Cert, I just want to say that after the seminar, we will be issuing a certificate. Okay. However, to make sure that you are really tuned in, I prepared a short quiz. So you need to listen carefully. All right. So that you'll be able to get the certificate. All right. So my name is Jeffrey Balilla, and again, I'll be covering the fintech side. Let me give a short introduction about myself. My background is in mathematics and statistics, which are the core foundations of artificial intelligence. I have a master's in statistics and also master's in business administration. And currently, I'm here in Prague, Czech Republic, pursuing advanced studies in economics. And I'm the current product manager of Skillspire. So the focus of my discussion would be how can we leverage artificial intelligence in financial technology? Okay. And I will be opening this discussion with a question. How does the bank of the future look like? So When we think about the future, usually we are imagining a very complex picture, maybe holograms, maybe something out of science fiction. But is it really the case? Especially with banking, we can see here a picture of a humanoid, a robot, using a laptop, which is actually hilarious because in the future, we should not be expecting something like this because the computer would be integrated in the humanoid itself, right? So it will be part of its system. Now, again, I'll be leaving this question and later on get back on it at the end of the presentation. So I will assure you that after 10 minutes, 15 minutes, we will be able to answer this question. How does the bank of the future look like? All right. Now, when we talk about fintech, which is a compound word, there are two components there, finance and technology. Probably we're thinking of something very complex, very futuristic, but in reality, one of the earliest forms of fintech is the ATM machine. All right. And also your debit and credit cards. Those are forms of fintech. But with artificial intelligence, it keeps on evolving. All right. It keeps on evolving. Now, why fintech? There was a survey done a couple of years back. They asked people, would you rather go to a dentist or go to traditional banks? 7 out of 10 people said that they rather go to a dentist than go to the bank. I'm not so surprised at all because if you go to the bank, you'll be burning so much time. You'll be driving, you will encounter lots of traffic, you will look for your parking space, and then you will fall in line, burn so much time just to deposit or withdraw or apply for a loan. That's not so efficient at all. So we all know that technology makes everything easier. It's the same thing as with banking. It makes the circulation of money more efficient and more convenient. And it's very easy to scale. All right. If your banking can be done on the convenience of your fingertips, whether you are wherever you are, maybe you're in a jungle, as long as there is internet connection, if your bank is online, then you can do it. You don't have to go personally to a physical bank to do your transactions, right? So it's very easy to scale. So on the banking perspective, there are different markets. We can think of other banks. We can think of countries. In terms of unit size, this these markets are really, really big. However, when we look into the retail customer side, in terms of unit size, they're small, but in aggregate terms, this is also a huge market. And how do you penetrate that retail market? Through scale. Make it convenient for them. Okay, make it convenient for everyone to do banking because everyone almost hates it. All right. And then data analytics. This results to hyper personalization. So, for example, I'll be going to a vacation next week, maybe Maldives, but I lack the resources. My salary would be after maybe a month. Now I can obtain a loan to fund that. Although this is a bad practice, I know that all of us here have good financial literacy, but the thing is, With hyper-personalization, the banks can offer tailor-fitted financial products. They can only do that if they know the behavior, no? The behavior and the data in general of the customers. And we will talk about that later when we discuss the characteristics of a fintech and how they leverage the AI side. Okay, it allows for tailored financial products. I want to highlight that. Moving forward, so I've listed here some fintech companies that you're probably aware of. We have Revolut, we have Checkout.com, Wise, Monzo, and Sterling Bank. There's one common characteristic among these companies. First, it is founded by relatively young individuals. Some of them, they founded the companies during their 20s, in particular the Checkout.com, some in their early 30s, just like the Revolut. But in general, these companies are founded by very young individuals and usually from tech. I would like to say that Starling Bank is a sort of outlier because the CEO, the founder, has a white hair. If she sees this, she will probably be angry. But the first four, that's the one commonality. And the other one is the valuation. So if we look at the valuation, we would see that for them to reach this kind of valuation, it just took it a very short period of time. It took a very short period of time to get into this crazy valuation, 45 billion, 40 billion. If you compare it to the valuation of the other banks, it's not the case. The valuation of the other banks are flat. And why is it so? Because these fintech companies are able to leverage data. Currently, we already have the capacity. We already have the capacity to process. We have the algorithms that can really efficiently and effectively learn the patterns from this data. So they take advantage of that. And because of that, they can offer this different products that we will be talking later. Okay. Moving forward, let's talk about digitalization on banks. So the problem with traditional bank is it is built on it is designed for the industrial revolution era. So during that time, most are using ledgers and paper checks. That's how traditional banks work. But you cannot scale with that. And it's quite easy to commit fraud when the system is like that. This is slow, this is expensive, okay? And there is a limitation to scale. However, everyone now has a smartphone, right? So the banks notice, okay, if everyone is going online, we should do the same. We should be online as well, and that is through the apps. So they leverage technologies such as cloud APIs, AI, to offer faster, cheaper, and personalized banking. By the way, the API is application program interface. It's just the ability of these different applications to communicate with themselves. So some examples of this are the banks, the fintech companies that we talked about earlier. Cryptocurrencies. So if you have heard about Bitcoin, about Ethereum, these things are in right now. In fact, the cryptocurrency market already reached 3 trillion US dollars of valuation. And there's no way for banks to offer it via, ledgers and paper checks. There's no way they can do that. So they have to do digitalization. And in order to, ride the wave of digitalization of money, they have to go online. All right. And another big thing with this cryptocurrency is the CBDCs. I predict that every country will have this. In 20 years' time, probably will not be having physical money. It will be all digital. So the banks need to ride the wave. They want to avoid the mistake of Nokia, right? They need to innovate. Moving forward, so we have here AI in fintech. Why? Okay. Because of data explosion, there there are billions of rows of data that is just sitting there waiting to be utilized by these banks in order to see the patterns, to see the behaviors of the customers, to take advantage of it to offer personalized services, personalized products, and so on. You can do that with artificial intelligence. Risk and fraud management. Here, I have a bit of reservation because we would see, and we are already seeing it, that cybersecurity is currently a very in demand job. Since everyone is moving online, risk and fraud also innovates. So later on, Alpha will be discussing some aspects of it. But risk and fraud will also evolve. We would see it, for example, with very vulnerable section of the population, maybe those 40 years old or 50 years old and above, they will be the target for this kinds of things by the bad actors. Operational efficiency. Again, many things can be automated with artificial intelligence. We're seeing it already, and it cut the costs for this banks and fintech companies. Okay, so I will go through this very quickly. Data privacy and security. So these are the list of risks. Algorithmic bias. If before you're just competing with others in terms of trading, now you're also competing with smart systems when you are trading financial assets. Regulatory and compliance uncertainty. This is big, especially here in Europe. Model opacity, because most of the machine learning algorithms that we're currently using are actually black box. We don't know how they arrive to a particular recommendation or solution. All right. Over reliance on automation. I always say this: use AI as a second brain, but not use it as a main brain. Okay. But if we overly depend on AI, then we are bound to having large scale failures. Okay. These are serious risks. And then we have the cybersecurity threats, just like what I mentioned earlier. Okay, because the threats with the bad actors will also utilize artificial intelligence to commit these things. They will also be smarter, right? They evolve with the system. Now, some hands-on application that I actually prepared. So I will just send you the link to this application. So I developed 3 years ago. I got bored and developed this Bitcoin auto trader. And you can find all of this in our or in my GitHub profile. I'll send the link later. So basically, my intention here is to show you how these things work. If you want to learn more about these things, the back end stuff, there's a training being offered by Skillspire and also CFE Cert about AI and machine learning. So if you're a manager or even an engineer in your company, you would know what's going on, how this AI system, the smart systems, are arriving to this recommendations and to these results. All right. So I've included here the link, and I'll also post it in the chat box later. Here it is a credit scoring system, so we can predict whether an applicant will. Now, going back to the question that we had earlier, how does the bank of the future looks like? So there are three things. Okay. Hyper personalization and proactive engagement. So this include intelligent recommendations. And we're already seeing it. Okay. We're already seeing it being done by Revolut and other fintech companies. Omni-channel experience. Customers will interact seamlessly across physical branches, web applications, and smart devices. Personalized products. Okay. Depending again on your behavior, depending on the things that you like. You know, these companies, they are leveraging AI and they know more about us than we know ourselves. That's the reality. Okay. That's the main AI advantage on everything. Now, second, autonomous operations and embedded banking. So zero ops mindset, routine processes, embedded finance, banking services will be integrated into broader digital systems, and real-time everything. Basically, convenience, efficiency, and speed. All right. Now, I want to give you this. The AI advantage in fintech is SPSS. It's speed. Okay. Instead of going to the bank and fall in line, you can do that on the comfort of wherever you are. Personalization, depending on your wants and need. Security, again, we have a bit of reservation for that, but compared to the traditional system, it's much more difficult to fool. Okay, the system. And lastly, which is very important for the institution, is scale. You can reach many customers. So these are the four advantages of fintech. Okay, or advantages of AI in financial technology. And that's it. Thank you very much. Do we have questions? Let me stop sharing so that I can see the chat box. Any questions? Okay, so I'll be dropping the links later in the chat box so that you can see them. You can view the systems, and also my email. So if you're working on a project, I can give you advice on how to proceed. So anything related to machine learning and data analysis. So thank you very much. So now I'll be giving the floor to my partner, Alpha, for the cybersecurity part. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Just start sharing my screen here for you all. Give me a second. Yes. Please let me know if you guys can see this. And I will assume that you can. All right. So, as Jeffrey mentioned, my name is Alpha Diallo. Just a little bit about myself. Currently, work as a product security engineer. In my previous roles, I have worked as a security manager, as slash head of security, leading security programs and building out security teams as well. And also worked as senior manager at a cyber insurance company where I was leading a consultancy team during my time there. Been within the security field now for a little bit over a decade, working in various roles in different industries as well. So as mentioned, we're going to be talking about AI within security, and in some way, shape, or form, AI has generally been, or machine learning has generally been within security within some tools for a while now. But in terms of our agenda, we'll kind of just cover why AI is becoming more important within cybersecurity, and then we'll go through a couple of use cases within that around some of the workflows where AI is actually helping, how AI is helping with more enhanced vulnerability detection, and then also how you can actually utilize AI to increase your knowledge, whether you're a student or a professional, to just keep up to pace and understand what's actually occurring there. So why is AI becoming more important within security overall, right? So security being a vast field, things are changing constantly. We always have new vulnerabilities against old technologies, and we always have newer technologies, including AI itself, coming out. And so we always need to basically be up ahead. We have to understand all these technologies, and there's a lot of context that security engineers or security folks have to deal with overall. And so, with the fast evolution of different threats that are coming through, as well as sort of the manual workflows that we generally have to deal with, AI is going to be very important. A couple of things I'm going to focus on here, mainly around the overwhelmed security teams and then sophistication of the different attacks. Generally, when you are working within an organization, right, depending on the size of your organization, you may be dealing with or may have a very small security team there. And so, as companies are creating more products, as they are creating more infrastructure, and essentially increasing their overall exposure out there, that means that there's more for the security organization to actually defend, right? They have to protect all that infrastructure. They have to protect all those products as well as the individuals working within the organization itself. And so security teams are going to be faced with either a lot of different alerts that are coming through. They're going to be dealt with having to do a lot of reviews as well. And so for a very small security team, they're bound to get overwhelmed in terms of having to deal with all of that. And AI provides some sort of help or some help with a lot of these things, as we'll kind of get into the use cases there. The other portion is around the sophistication of the attacks overall. Jeffrey mentioned one thing a little bit earlier, which is that the attackers are utilizing these AI tools themselves, right? And an example of that is a story that happened a couple of days ago, where Anthropic actually found that an AI or an attacker was actually utilizing their systems to target multiple companies and was actually successful in creating a ransomware type of event against those companies. In this case, it was more so stealing information and then actually sending those companies some emails asking them to actually pay to get that information back, or for the attacker to not actually release that information, right? So the sophistication and the level of just some of these attackers is increasing almost on a daily basis. They are utilizing the same tools that defenders are utilizing, and sometimes know a lot more about these tools than the actual defenders. And now with AI, they're utilizing these tools to make their jobs easier, right? AI can go out, do a lot of open source intelligence, so do reconnaissance on different companies, on different individuals. It can help in creating the actual exploits that the attacker is going to be utilizing as well, reducing the overall time for that attacker to actually create the exploit. And it can essentially gather information and also analyze information that it has received from all of these from the different companies that it may have already infiltrated there as well. So all of this essentially leads to where we need to now basically, or at least defenders need to be utilizing these same tools, need to be utilizing AI to better defend the organizations that they are working for as well. And so a couple of the use cases that we'll kind of talk through, one of them being sort of just the workflows within security, right? There are different roles for security engineers out there, and different workflows that they have to go through, whether it's from an incident response perspective or just a security review perspective. And so a couple of these items that we'll kind of go through. So security reviews. Right. So if you are a product security engineer, if you are somebody who reviews architecture, there is a great potential for the usage of AI here to actually help you. Because you can provide the context needed to these AI tools. You can provide previous reviews. You can provide information around your systems and what things you're actually looking out for. And the AI can help you review newer risks as they are actually coming up as well. There are tools out there, there are companies out there whose sole focus is actually on creating these tools to help security organizations actually analyze and review different products, different systems a lot faster, reducing the overall cycle that a security engineer has to go through, or even reducing the number of meetings that you may need to have as you're kind of talking with the different product teams out there. And so not only within security reviews, but as we'll kind of get into a little bit later, also within the actual code reviews as well. And there are a couple of tools out there that will help you with that. From an incident response perspective, whether it is from a triaging perspective, so looking at the different vulnerabilities that are coming through, or when you get alerted that there may be a potential event that could lead to an incident, AI is going to be helpful here in terms of just assisting in triaging and actually categorizing these incidents, as well as I mentioned, right? If the AI has that additional context around your systems, around how you actually do things, then it will help to whoever is going to be responding to these incidents, it will help them basically resolve these incidents a lot faster, right? If you have context around the vulnerabilities in your systems, and you can basically decide whether or not that vulnerability is going to be something that is going to impact your systems overall, or if it's just something that's going to be a false positive, as well as essentially helping when an incident is occurring, just from a note-taking perspective, right? Generally, in the past, when an incident has been occurring, you may have somebody there who's actually going to be taking notes of everything that's occurring, just so that when you are creating the incident report, you have a full history of everything that has occurred and everything that is being done. Nowadays, you can basically just utilize an AI assistant to actually collect all these notes as you are working, so that you don't have to spend time thinking about, oh, we need to create all of these, all this additional documentation, and as well as basically coming up with the most important action items afterwards, and actually dealing with that. AI is also being utilized in compliance audits, right? Helping to basically decrease the amount of time that companies have to spend, or that security teams have to spend on, in terms of like actual audits overall. Audits for organizations, especially whether you're going through a PCI audit, you're going through a HIPAA type of audit, or even SOC 2 type of attestation, take up a huge chunk of time sometimes for security teams because of all of the evidence collection that is needed. And there are companies out there now that are working on basically integrating or creating easier workflows, essentially for security folks, so that you don't have to spend as much time collecting evidence, and they are incorporating AI into their own toolings as well, to help with either policy creations, or just to actually go out and reach out to the different technologies that the organization is utilizing and collect the necessary evidence that is needed, and then just create the actual reports for them to give to the auditors there as well. So from a workflow acceleration perspective, or even AI is a huge game changer here, because it does reduce the overall the life cycle, and also it kind of removes somebody from having to store a lot of context in their brain, or to have that context somewhere else. Because now when you take that context and you put it into an AI system, whether I'm the one who's doing a security review or somebody else is doing a security review, they'll have the same information necessary. So it's also a way of sharing knowledge across multiple people, with the single tool, since the AI assistant or the AI tool can actually help you there, and hopefully give you the same results and same information across those people. For identifying vulnerabilities, or just getting a clear picture in terms of what sort of risks are present for an organization, AI tooling is helping here, right? So there are different tools out there that are helping to analyze the different vulnerabilities that an organization may have, whether it's from a product side of things, or looking at the actual code base, or from an infrastructure side of things as well. And just kind of focusing on a couple of these tools, right? Within static analysis tools and dynamic analysis tools, these tools essentially will look at your code base. For static analysis tools, they'll just kind of go through the code that's been written, and actually look for potential vulnerabilities in there. And for dynamic analysis, it's essentially your code is already running, and it is trying to inject malicious content to actually see what may be occurring there, right? And so a lot of these tools, tools like SEMGREP, which is a static analysis tool, they integrate AI into them. And one major thing there is that it helps to essentially understand, one, whether or not you have code that is actually vulnerable and breachable, which for security teams is very important, because it reduces the overall false positive rate. right? And as well as the things that you will focus on. If you have code that is vulnerable and reachable, then that is something that is of a greater concern than something that is not reachable, right? And if you don't have that information, then you're essentially going to be looking at all of your vulnerabilities and trying to figure out how do you actually prioritize this information or these vulnerabilities so that you are reducing your overall risk for the organization. And then from a real-time monitoring perspective, as well as predictive intelligence perspective, right? We've had these AI tools integrated now for a while, or companies have been utilizing some form of AI for a while now within like endpoint detection and response tooling. So think CrowdStrike, think Sentinel-1. They essentially will have been integrating some form of AI within them to help with detecting when anomalous activity may be occurring on some endpoints, and to actually be able to automatically respond to some of that to that anomalous activity as well, whether that be by just quarantining the program that is behaving maliciously, or by quarantining and isolating the entire device itself, so that it doesn't end up propagating whatever that malicious activity or that anomalous activity may be throughout the rest of the environment there. And then, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, AI has the capability of essentially doing reconnaissance for organizations, going out and as well as for attackers. So going out finding information on individuals, on companies, or just doing research on essentially understanding how does a threat actor actually behave, what sort of tactics have they utilized in the past, what sort of vulnerabilities have they been known to actually utilize. So all this collection of information is something that that AI systems have, and you can go ahead and actually ask questions to some of these AI programs to better understand who your attackers may be and how you may better actually protect your organization as well. And then from an automated penetration testing side of things, there are companies out there whose sole focus have shifted away. One of the main advantages here is that if you have an automated pen testing tool in place, it basically will help you essentially have one greater validation, right? So you can basically run your automated pen testing tool to validate security findings, to find new vulnerabilities at a faster rate than if you have a manual pen test, right? Because with the manual pen test, you have to kind of go through this entire setup of contacting the company that's actually going to be doing the pen testing if you don't have internal pen testers, setting up all of that testing, getting accounts for the individuals who are going to be testing, and getting scheduling, which sometimes can be very difficult with some companies, especially as you come towards the end of the year. But if you have an automated pen testing tool, that's something that you can manage yourself. You can just go in, put in the targets that you actually want to get tested, and then just run the tool on itself. These tools also allow you to provide additional context to them. So if you have more information around the product that you want tested, you have information around the infrastructure that you want tested, you can provide all of that context in there. You can provide code as well into that automated pen testing tool, so that it actually is able to read the code, understand it, maybe do some analysis on it the same way that a SaaS tool would be able to do it, to maybe find some additional vulnerabilities that maybe you wouldn't necessarily find if you didn't have the code there. And so providing all that additional context to the automated pen testing tool helps to essentially maybe find more vulnerabilities and maybe more critical vulnerabilities that somebody else may have been able to exploit, or may be looking to actually exploit overall. And then being able to create specific attack scenarios, right? So if there are certain scenarios that you as a company are worried about that somebody might be able to do, right? You may be able to provide that scenario to the automated pen testing tool and actually have it go through that same scenario to see what it actually comes up with as well. And if it does come up with something, then you at least have you have some validation, and then you also would then be able to fix it, hopefully before anybody else discovers that same attack path there. So AI is definitely helping in a lot of areas, from not only detection, but also from the prevention side of things, and the threat intelligence side of things as well. And then the other use case here, which is one that I think for me is really beneficial and really more important, especially for students as well as professionals who want to continue in terms of their advancements and their skills and actually increasing their skills overall, is essentially the decrease in time to learn and adapt as things are actually changing, right? So as I mentioned at the start of this, AI is a complex field. It's constantly changing. There are newer technologies that are always coming out, newer waves of doing things that are constantly coming out, and so the ability to keep up with all of these things is something that's very important. AI makes this a lot easier now, especially with the ability to go in and just ask it questions around, can you explain this topic to me? And then be able to ask more detailed questions as it kind of goes along. So similar to essentially having your own personal tutor potentially, all right? You can actually go ahead and just in your own time, and actually learn all these topics that you may be interested in actually learning as well. And then one thing that I've actually utilized these AI systems for has been for interviews, right? You can simulate interviews. So potentials, if you have certain interviews that are coming up, whether they are technical interviews or behavioral interviews, right? You can actually go in and just ask it to be an interviewer for you and to create questions. And actually, if it will evaluate, you can ask it to evaluate your responses as well. So that's one of the major things. Now, I know in the past generally I would ask friends and stuff, but people are busy, right? So now you can actually go in and actually just ask these AI tools, whether it be ChatGPT or Claude or something else. Specific questions around, maybe what types of questions would this interviewer ask for this specific role, and then you can actually go through it and provide your answers, and then get evaluated on it and see how you actually do from that perspective there. So just the ability to now learn more and to get more information as things are changing, as well as to just aggregate a bunch of information and then ask it to summarize for you so that you can come up to speed on a lot faster on certain topics, is definitely beneficial overall for a lot of folks. So those are just a couple of the different use cases overall that I've kind of been seeing within AI and security. There may be multiple other use cases that we haven't actually talked through. As mentioned, there are multiple tools out there that are incorporated AI within them, whether they be closed source, the ones that you have to buy, or even open source ones that you have to buy. And then, one thing to keep in mind as well is that as defenders, we may be utilizing these tools, but sometimes we don't necessarily have the time to fully dive into these tools. On the reverse side of that is that you have attackers who are fully utilizing these tools now and have actually started creating attacks utilizing them. And so we do need to be aware of that and be aware of sort of just the increase in potential attacks that may be coming that are going to be driven by AI in the future. And so we have to start thinking about how do you actually defend against those things as well. So just again, key takeaways overall, right? Just the efficiency boost that we are going to be getting from AI in terms of the different workflows that we can potentially hand off to AI or help accelerate overall. And there, the intent is not necessarily, it's not going to be to replace the security person themselves, but it's more so just as a companion and to help accelerate and accelerate in terms of them actually doing their job as well. AI being able to essentially help with all of the detection as well as doing testing for us to find maybe potential additional vulnerabilities, additional risks and threats that we have to deal with and actually take action on those proactively. And then also being able to increase sort of the velocity that you learn certain topics, right? So in terms of helping with newer skill developments, things that you want to try to learn, and just staying ahead in terms of what may be coming. It's definitely going to be a game. It's definitely a game changer already in a lot of ways overall. One thing I would encourage you all to do is definitely start playing with these tools, right? Whether something simple as like the Chat GPTs or the Claudes, all the way to something more advanced like the Claude Code. Try actually utilizing it to write code, see what the behavior is of it, and then try to build some integrations as well. Play around with the model context protocols that are out there, the different MCP servers that are out there, and see how it actually behaves as a whole as well. So I will stop there and see if there are going to be any questions overall. So I'll stop sharing so I can actually see the chat as well. So any questions on anything that we've kind of covered? And I will post the Anthropic's threat intelligence portion here around the attack that they just discovered, that the attacker was utilizing to ransom a couple different companies as well. So, all right, cool, awesome. Well, I think if there aren't any additional questions overall, then thank you all for attending and hope you have a great rest of your afternoon if you're over in the UK.